Try that one more time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to another community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I'm the ServiceNow guy with the cool bow tie. It is Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018, and this is the show where I go through our ServiceNow community and bring you not only the answers, but the thought process, the discovery, the adventure, the learning, the journey that we go to get those answers and bring them to you so that you can use those same discovery and learning techniques in your daily job and become a more effective ServiceNow administrator and developer. Good morning to Chris McClendon checking in. You know what? We've got people checking in so fast, I would guess that yes, the YouTube alerts are working today. For whatever reason, they were not working yesterday. I got an alert about 2 p.m. on Tuesday of something I posted on Monday for a different, completely different thread. So YouTube alerts yesterday, not so good. Today, much better, and I'm glad to have you here. How do you get here? Well, good question, because you can go to YouTube. If you found this by searching, there's a URL for you to subscribe to the channel. I encourage you to do that so that you get those alerts. We do this show Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. UTC. Well, slight qualifier on there. The Monday through Fridays where I'm in the office, or technically my house, and don't have any personal or business obligations that conflict with this. 1 p.m. UTC, I say that so you can do the math from wherever you are and whenever you are. If you're watching this after the fact, you're not watching it live, thank you very much for watching. I encourage you to subscribe. There's lots of other great content on that YouTube channel that the community puts out. Also do this on Twitch. That is the only thing that's on that Twitch channel right now is the last couple of weeks of these episodes. So if you want to watch there, you're more than welcome to do so. Good morning. Who else is in there? Gurker and Baines. Hi, I'm new to this community. Hope it helps me be a ServiceNow project manager. I hope so too. This is going to be an adventure of discovery. My name, again, is Chuck Tomasi. I am, my specialty is in the platform, custom applications, integrations. So a lot of this discussion will revolve around that to the developers, to the admins. If it's useful to you as a project manager, just from an architectural standpoint, understanding the tool, absolutely. If you've got a comment, you want to give me a shout out, please do so in the Twitch or the YouTube community, or excuse me, the chat, and I'd be happy to give you a shout back. Appreciate you watching. If you've got something more to say, you've got a question about ServiceNow, a question, an issue, something you'd like to voice, goes into deeper detail. How do I script this? Where do I find this? How do I turn that on or off? Please put that in the community at community.servicenow.com. Be sure to use the right subforum. So if it is around project management, for example, and you happen to post in the developer community, you may be asking for fishing gear in a pet store. Okay, probably not going to work the best, or bicycle equipment in a pub. So you might get some information, but you'd have better luck asking about bicycle equipment in a sporting goods store, for example. So, hello, Snehal. Good to see you, my top commenter and motivator and instigator of a lot of discussions on YouTube. Good morning to Carolyn. Carolyn's checking in. Let's continue with the pre-roll. Let's talk about the developer community next. Developer.servicenow.com is where you can get a free personal developer instance. You can get all of the scripting APIs. You can get free learning plans to become a ServiceNow developer. Go through some online lessons, do the exercises, experiment around. If you mess up your free personal developer instance, you're in charge. You get to wipe it out at any time. I did that about a week and a half ago. Worked great. It was just starting to get full of little nicks and ticks and dings and bangs and craziness, and sometimes it wasn't just expected behavior. So I said, start over. Backed up any work that I had in progress, which is nice because most of the work that I do is saved off to GitHub or something external, and then just wiped it off, started over, and away we go. Worked out great. And what else? You can turn on plugins. That many of them are pay for plugins like Integration Hub, for example. If you wanted to start practicing around with the REST APIs in Integration Hub, you could do that on your personal developer instance as a proof of concept. Show your boss how useful it is and wonderful, and hey, this is something I think we should put into next year's budget, or we've got it right now. If it happens to be that way, you can practice on a very safe, secure, external environment that's not going to impact the way your other developers run. You can learn, you can test, you can prove, you can get value very quickly. So I encourage you to look at that. We also have developer meetups around the world. Many of them are posted to developer.servicenow.com. You can find meetups there, or as I like to look over at this URL right there, meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow dev program. You can find many, many more. This one's actually kept up to date very, very currently. We do have one that's not on this list yet, and that will be November 8th in D.C., Washington, D.C. I'll be there. I'll be at Munich. I'll be in Melbourne. So hope to see you at one of those. Looking forward to it. If you don't have a developer meetup in your area, please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help you. We'll be happy to help you start one. Live program, totally unscripted. You never know what you're going to get in this next hour or so of learning and maybe entertainment, depending on how it goes. So that is the meetups. Look forward to seeing many of you there. I'll also be at excuse me, get that frog out of the throat. Other events you can find over at our events.html page. Now forums, now summits. Should be seeing information soon about Knowledge 19. Call for speakers is coming up. If you've got a topic in mind, you want to be a speaker at Knowledge 19, start thinking of those topics. Start talking over with your colleagues. Start working with your boss to say, hey, this is something I would like to do. It's coming up soon. Look for that announcement probably in the next 30 days. Call for speakers is coming up soon, so get your ideas together. Knowledge 19 is not as far away as you might think. In fact, I have a counter on my phone. Last I checked, it was about 210 days away. Let's check that real quick. It is ServiceNow, Lisa, Christmas, Mom's birthday. Knowledge is 214 days away. Look, I could almost put my head on my head. Hi, my name's Chuck. 214 days. Well, that may seem like a long way away. Yeah, I have fun with the phone like that. Video, it's a fun thing to do. It's a bit complex, but it's fun. Get your speaker submissions in there. I will look forward to seeing, I think Steve from Sweden said he will be at Now Forum London, which is the second week in November, the 17th, 18th, I think it is. And I got to get these dates straight because I'm going to be there. Right now, it's all in a computer somewhere, and I'm just following what the computer says. I'll be at Now Forum Sweden. No, there is no Now Forum Sweden. Now Forum Sydney. Now Forum Sydney next week. Some of my colleagues have already left. I will be leaving here Saturday night, arriving Monday morning, and look forward to seeing you there. I do have a little extra time in Melbourne, so if you're in that area and you want to do some sightseeing or you want to get together for dinner, lunch, pub, coffee, doesn't matter to me. Love to see you there. I've got a little extra time there. Munich, little tighter schedule. London, Sydney, a lot of that other stuff. So enough of my travel schedule. I believe Andrew Barnes said he was going to put that on the developer portal. We'll see what happens if you can follow along with that. Onward and upward. We have another webinar coming up, another Tech Now, episode 57. Can you believe it? They're just clipping along. We've got these planned out to March now. We've got the agenda. We got dates locked in for January, February. But coming up first in October is how to build your first application with ServiceNow. And while this may seem very simplistic, you may learn a thing or two about some of these no-code features. If you've got other people in your area who don't really refer to themselves as developers, we call them builders. They might be your process owners. They might be your line of business people. They might be your subject matter experts. And they're building Excel. They're building Access stuff. They're building all these ad hoc one-off tools that are hard for IT to track, administer. Get them involved with this. You get involved with it too. So you can, as a ServiceNow developer and administrator, you can find out about things like delegated development and show these people how they can take advantage of the platform. You can use delegated development and say, all right, you're in charge of the forms. You're in charge of the reports. You're in charge of all of the stuff that I frankly, as a developer, I don't like doing, but I know I have to do, and then I have to listen to their requirements, translate their requirements, get them involved. If you can hand some of this stuff off to them, it extends the IT bandwidth. It enables them to do things quicker and get what they want, but it still gives you the governance and control to say, all right, let's go through and take a quick look at what you've done. And all right, maybe it'd be better if we put all the checkboxes on this side of the form. Or, you've got the functionality here, and now they need some more advanced stuff around scripting. Great, get me involved. I'll be happy to help you out with the scripting. That sort of collaboration, cooperation between the what we call pro code developers and your no and low code developers to really build some stunning and fast solutions to business problems. They're all over. Look how many spreadsheets are in your organization. Consider turning those into some low-code applications and say, all right, legal department, all right, graphic arts department, all right, take those spreadsheets or however you're tracking these requests. I need a new poster for our upcoming conference. How is that being tracked? Track it in ServiceNow. You automatically get all the benefit. Anyway, I'm I'm going off on the content of this thing. Slow me down. We're supposed to be on the community. Sign up. The registration is at the bottom. This is the first announcement. We haven't even put this out on social media yet. So, good morning from Bangalore. Apurva is online. Yay, Bangalore. We have people from all over the world. That's why I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are, and whenever you are. I really, really appreciate it. Let's go to the G slide, GitHub. G for GitHub. Any code or script that I write today, I will save off to GitHub in a folder with today's date on it. So I don't know if there's going to be any. Again, this is totally unscripted. I didn't see any scripting solutions in my pre-show pre-check, but we'll see if we can get there. If there is, you can use that link and click into the daily folder. This will also be cross-posted to LinkedIn and the community, and those links will take you directly to the daily folder. If there is anything, we'll see. I've got an idea. I might have some code for you today, but until then, let's go on with the community. This is our community at community.servicenow.com. Do a quick screen refresh, and let's look at anything new and unreplied. I like to start there. Client script catalog item to wait to change the state from active to resolved. Client script. What should it be waiting for? Let's find out. Oh, we have a catalog item created for the ITIL users to capture the walk-in support tickets. For this, we have simply created a form with all mandatory incident fields. So whenever an ITIL user enters all mandatory information and submits the form, the incident gets created with resolved state. This has worked fine, but the main problem is the SLAs aren't getting attached. The reason is when the ticket is created and resolved at the same time, both response and resolution SLAs aren't getting attached as per its definition. The client script defined with wait time between active and resolved will fix this issue. I don't know that this is a use case for a client script. So they're opening it and closing it at the same time. This is working fine. The main problem is the SLAs aren't getting attached. The reason is when the ticket is created and resolved at the same time. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a use case for a client script. I'm not sure how you would see a client script working in this. I would first make it available. Here's what I would do. What is it? Is it state models? I have to find it. I know there's a way to do this. Okay. This doesn't sound like a use case for client scripts, in my opinion. My first inclination, it said they're opening a catalog item? Catalog item, okay. Is to let the walk-up ticket enter an active state by default, and then you get your first SLA running. If leave the resolved state off the request until after it is submitted. Tick tock, tick tock. So a walk-in person would walk up, they submit this thing. However, they walk in and you're just saying, okay, open a ticket and close it. You can, an easy way to remove the resolved state is, and this is where I gotta look, I believe it's state models. That would be my, let's get the right thing here. Let's go to Docs, London, and I believe it's state model. It's not state flow, it's state model. Install a state model, add a state model in transitions. So yeah, I would look at state management and state models. Is using state management and state models. You can say resolved is only available when the state is active, or something like that. Now, I did this to help control people saying, hey, I'm going right from pending to approved. Well, no, you first have to go to work in progress, then approved. And you could say, make this state show up when I'm in this other state. And for example, canceled is always available. No matter where you are in this process, you could always cancel. And you can't go backwards unless it's from approved to work in progress, for example. So you can make up whatever rules you want. And state models can be very helpful. I believe, let me check, ServiceNow Dev Program, on the ServiceNow Dev Program YouTube channel, which I happen to have a slide for here. That channel, ServiceNow Dev Program, that you see there, on that channel, wow, kind of looks like what I just had on screen. There's a playlist called Tech Shorts. And in the Tech Shorts, let's not play the video, there is one called, where is it? State Models, State Models, episode 24. In fact, I could probably put that in as a link, right? That would be nice. Let's put that in. Let's also reply, I forgot, I did this video a few months ago. You might want to take a look. No, I don't have a video for everything. Tech Shorts, episode 24, state models. Ta-da! Put that in there, make it pop up in a new window, and hit OK. Ding! There we are. Oh, I have to hit submit first. Reply. So, if you haven't been over to the ServiceNow Dev Program YouTube channel, I encourage you to take a look at that. We do a show on Fridays, most Fridays, don't know if one's going to happen this week, called Live Coding Happy Hour, where Dave Slusher, Andrew Barnes, and I, and sometimes a guest, will show up and solve a problem that means something to us. We're working on some personal projects related to our day job, and it might involve REST APIs, it might involve Service Portal, it might involve, and we don't know. This is the antithesis of a clean, polished demo. Last week, we spent most of the time going, that's odd. Why is this data object not doing what I expect? Only to learn a valuable lesson at the end saying, oh, I get it. So it's those types of skinned knees and bruised elbows that can value you and watch our video instead of spending your own time going, why isn't this working? Right? So, comments in the chat. A little bit earlier started today. Yeah, Kevin, good morning to you. Good morning, Shane J. I just saw a comment from Shane in the community, so I know Shane is out there. Interestingly enough, Shane J was the name of my former boss's boss. He just left the company, so probably not the same Shane J. Good morning. I have a question. How can the data is exported in ServiceNow? Apart from export sets? Not yet. Seems like at all times. If you're working on making a video for... Yeah, no, I'm not working on making a video for everything. Exporting data in ServiceNow is done a number of ways. You can do this through a web service call. Every table has a REST and SOAP API available to it, so you can easily access it that way from a third-party application. It really depends on what you're trying to do. Exporting data isn't so much a question of how it's done. It's what are my options and what makes the most sense. So we need to understand the entire problem in general. Let me log into my personal developer instance to show you a couple of examples. The quickest, simplest way, you can export this to an Excel spreadsheet in just a few minutes, a few seconds, a few clicks. So if I have my community live stream application here, and I have a whole whacked out, I forgot I did that yesterday. Let's get back to a regular list of items. Let me take my filter off and my window pointer off. This has nothing to do with exporting. It's just turning back something I did yesterday. So take that out, and just call this items. All items is good. Update that. Watch this little menu. Watch the menu. It goes from active items to refresh. Anybody? There it goes. All items. And I have these 3 items. I can click the menu here on any column and say export, and go to Excel. I can go to CSV. I can dump it to XML, JSON, PDF, or use an export set, which is kind of like an import set, only in reverse. I can also use an integration. Maybe I've got an application out there that I've written, a third-party application that uses an API. I can use the REST API Explorer, which is under here, REST API Explorer, built-in tool, similar to other REST API client workbench things that you've got. And I can use the table API to say, let's go get all the records from my item table, my CLS item table. I can put in other queries and quickly build an inbound integration from a third-party application using this. If I say send, it tells me what my endpoint is. This is a get method. It says 200 OK. Any other headers that I need in there. The full response of what I get is down here because there is a sysparm limit by default set to 1, which says I'm only going to allow you 1 record at a time. I could override that. And obviously when I write my third-party application, I want to do that. This is my REST body that I will get down here. So it would be an array of these records. I could limit down to just certain fields. So REST API is another option. So lots of options for exporting data from ServiceNow. Where is it coming from and where is it going to are your key questions. If it's going to another ServiceNow instance, I want to move information from my personal developer instance over to my test instance, for example, then yes, I want to do something like export to XML. That will keep all of the updated, created, all those system level fields, all of the attributes about each record intact, including, this is the important part, including reference fields and their sysids. So if I go to, say, ServiceNow incidents, incident open. I know I'm spending a lot of time on one silly little YouTube comment, but and I say export to CSV. Let's just take CSV for example. It's going to export just what's on this list. What do I have? About 6-7 fields there. Download and open that up. I don't know if it's going to open this in a text editor or what it's going to do. Yeah, it's kind of small. Apologize. I don't even know what this is. Text edit, so theoretically I can expand this. And here are my fields. Notice that there's nothing about the caller in here. There's nothing about, it's whatever's on the list, that's what gets exported. However, if I do export XML, I get all the details of all those records. There are fortunately only 31 records, so this is a reasonable thing to do. And I say open, come on, open when it's done. It's a bigger file because it's got more details. That's done. I open it, and here I have in XML assigned to is this. Caller is this. It says the display value and, of course, the sys-ID. So if I'm importing this to another instance, it's important that that record actually exists. Otherwise, it's going to be this rogue hanging reference. If your instance doesn't have a Fred Luddy with this sys-ID, that's a problem. So we need to make sure that we've got all associated other information. But this is a great way to move information from one instance to another. Another option, if you're moving an application, and let's say I had that CLS application again. Let's go here. And I go to my items. I can also click records in the list and say create application file. That turns it into effectively demo data that could go along with that application, so that when I publish it, I go to Studio and I say publish this to my test or prod instance, make it available to install on those. I also have the option of installing these records as demo data. So that's another way with create application file. Very handy. Okay, have I beaten that topic to death? I better put that in my notes. I did not pull up my notes today. Apologize for that. Let me pull that up. I got to put that in there because that's not going to be found later. We talked about a couple other things I wanted to show you. We're not quite there yet. Exporting data. No link for that. Not a problem. Not a problem. We did what? One article so far. It's halfway through the hour. Is it possible to get an average mean on fields such as the time to repair on the outage table? Good question. Good question. And let's see. This is turning into a live fire thing. I don't have the outage record turned on, but what I can show you is, let's see if I still have it here. Try this. I don't know if it works on time fields. I have an example where I've got some packages. Remember interoffice envelopes? If you're old enough to remember that, it's how we got memos from one building to another. If you had a company that was large enough to have a campus or multiple floors, you put your letter in this brown envelope and said, I need Jerry's signature on this. And someone would stop by and pick it up. Well, I made something similar for interoffice packages, where we have a location in Chicago and one in Florida and one in California. And ServiceNow is basically tracking these. So there's my use case. Don't think I have the correct columns in here. I took those out a couple of days ago for another example. Let me configure the list layout, show you what I can do. So each package has, well, let's get to the right scope so I can actually edit this list. Each package has a width, height, length, and weight. That's kind of what you care about when you're shipping packages. We also have a recipient. Let's take active off for a moment. And one way you could do this, not saying this is the only way, obviously you could do this with a report, but I could say, what is the average weight? So on the column menu, I go to configure, see if I can hit this, it's kind of in a funny place, configure list calculations, and say average value. And if I chose any of these others, they would show up there as well. So my weight column now has at the bottom an average weight of 7.43. Easy as that. Built in. If I choose to add something like, let's go back to the column layout, configure list layout, and I put the location on there. Destination. Move that up right next to recipient. I'm going to collapse this for a second so that we can see a few more of the columns. There's my destination. If I group by the destination, now my average for everything is 7.43, but these two packages that are going to Roswell, Georgia, average at 13.5. These two packages that are going to San Diego are 2.88. So you get the average of each group when you do a group by as well. So a lot of power in the list feature. You can do the same kind of thing with a traditional report if you like. Hope that helps. Can you also quickly bullet list all possible ways to import data into ServiceNow? Wow. Bullet list, again, this gets back to the requirements. You can import CSV, you can import through import sets, you can import directly through easy import with a spreadsheet, you can import through web service APIs, you can import through a an import set through a mid server. There's lots of different ways you can do this. We offer a lot of great flexibility, and that's one of the things that I love about ServiceNow is its import and export capability and the options that you're given. I'm not sure why I went there. I meant to go here. Let's go to imports. I'm going to put that down also. Importing data. Just so I remember. That way it shows up in the show notes for later. Other people know what we talked about and roughly when. So importing data, running an import. One nice thing I like about this doc site is you can click this and it gives you this little hierarchy. So if you're way down buried deep, 2-3 levels deep, you can always walk your way back up. So data management would count in there. This is probably one of the most common diagrams I refer to when dealing with imports is you can use JDBC, you can use HTTP and FTP, Excel, CSV, a lot of these other things that I've talked about. And it goes into an import set table. Web services should also be there. I guess that would kind of qualify as HTTP so that I could use a REST API and put it into an import set. The import set puts it into a staging table. They call it an import set table. And then a transform runs on that so that you can massage that around, do some field mapping. Maybe it's called user on one system. It's called caller on ServiceNow. Maybe it's called owner on one side and it's a name, and over in ServiceNow it's a reference field called assigned to. So you can do this field mapping, you can do these transforms, you can do these lookups in this transform section and then send it to the target table, whether that's a CI in the CMDB, whether it's an incident in the incident table, whether it's a user in the user table. You can do all of these imports, scheduled, real time, lots of options available to you there. So again, it's understand what are the requirements, and again, there's lots of options available. I think I hit this bullet list again, it might be 2 days in a row. What are the options of the third-party software is usually what dictates what you can use in ServiceNow. Email is actually a form of integration. I would use that as a last resort, but it is a form. Think about it. Somebody sends an email to approve something. It gets processed, the approval happens, you've done an integration, you've done an import of something very external. They're not clicking a button, they're using third-party software, Outlook, to make this happen. Okay, glad you got it. Good morning, Chad from Atlanta. We are cruising through a bunch of stuff. I'm going to jump to the inbox. We have a conversation that's in progress, if it's something that we've contributed to. Johnny Depp. The Johnny Depp? That Johnny Depp? Replied to a question from 10 minutes ago. He replied 10 minutes ago from a thing that was answered 7 months ago. Let's see. I'm stuck on exactly similar kind of issue. Do you get something to come out of this? We are running short amount of time. Any lead will be appreciated. What are we trying to do? ISO 8859. So I'm having an issue with incoming mail being in 8859-1 format instead of UTF-8. That means that the characters get potentially garbled. For instance, you can look at this subject line. So I did a quick search on the internet, came up with something from Stack Overflow to convert 8859 to UTF-8. I don't recall exactly what that was. And he said, I'm stuck on exactly similar kind of issue. Did you get something to come out of this issue? It's not my issue, so I don't know how to answer that. I think we need to wait for the original person to say whether or not they marked it correct. Now, whether it worked or not, I don't know. I was merely an agent. Chad says the incident managers would like an enhancement to send a notification to notify assignment group when there are aging incidents over 90 days. Have you ever done this via scheduled job? Yes and yes. Two solutions to that. If you're using Kingston or later, you can use Flow Designer to do this. Let me show you that real quick because Flow Designer does have a scheduled capability in it. I have not used it in this exact use case, but we're going to find out. Let's go to, you know what? Let's just take I'm going to go to global because I'm going to play around with the incident table as you wish. Sounds like Princess Bride there. As you wish. Let's create a new flow in Flow Designer. Hold incidents. Okay, I can do that. This is not going to be my first choice, but let's find out. I can do a scheduled daily job and say run it at 7 a.m. every day, and then do a lookup. So my action would be look up records in the incident table. All right, not too difficult here for Flow Designer. And the conditions are, what is it, the updated? You wanted just aging incidents over 90 days. So I would say created or opened by or opened on. Created on is, can we do 90 days ago? Last 90 days. You could say created is at or before last 90 days. That would work, right? There's my condition to go find the records. Max result, 1,000 records. I think we're good. Now, the trick is for you to recognize when you've already assigned. Do you want this to happen every night? At day 91, 92, 93? Are we going to keep sending these emails every day? Or are you going to send the email once and be done with it? That's for you to decide. And if you do decide that you only want to trigger this once per record, you're going to need to update that record with some sort of, hey, I've been here before. Maybe it's a checkbox, maybe it's a date field. If the date field is empty, go forward, add that to your condition and say, it was created more than 90 days ago and I haven't nagged them yet. You could have a field called u_nag. Right? Let's say it's a date. If the date is empty, you haven't nagged them. If you did, you know when you nagged them. That's a little handier to me than a plain old checkbox. So think about that. If you want to nag them once a month, then add that to the conditions. Put a date field on there and say, all right, it was created more than 90 days ago, and the field is not empty, or the field has something, and the field is empty, or the field, if it's not empty, has a date greater than 30 days. Okay, you can trigger the notification. Once you've got that list of records, you can do a for each in here and say for each record in my lookup records. So let's get our for each incident records. That's pretty much done. Then go down this branch and say I want to send a notification. Now, the issue I have right now with notifications in Flow Designer is that they don't provide an easy way for you to link back to that issue. You would have to construct your own URL, and it gets kind of wonky. Another option that I offer is available on the developer portal, which is over here under Share. And I'm not logged in, so let me log in real quick because it will come up in my list. It's called Scriptless Schedule Jobs. And my projects, Scriptless, you can find this on the community too. Scriptless Schedule Jobs. Easier to say than it is to do. Scriptless scheduled. That's a made-up word, by the way. It's every spell checker keeps finding. It goes scriptless. That's not a real word, is it? Well, I must have made it up. And of course, you will find all of these answered questions that reference it. But down here is a blog entry, and in there, I created this for just such an occasion. It takes the schedule jobs and it adds a condition builder in it. It adds an action, almost, it's the same technology as scriptless business rules. So you can build a condition and go over that. What's more, if you check the advanced button, it will take the condition and the set values and turn them into a script. You can opt to run business rules or not. So as you update these records, you could say, don't run business rules. That would be a bad thing. All it's really doing behind the scenes, of course, is doing a set workflow false. So that's an option you can use as well, available from the developer portal as is. It's worked for many people, makes your schedule jobs a little easier to maintain. If you install this, don't forget to run the fix script. All right, that's what says any existing schedule jobs out there are advanced. Okay, because I'm adding an advanced checkbox. All of your schedule jobs today are run on script. This was a way to get the scriptless out of there. But if you don't run that fix script, it's going to show you a bunch of blank fields for your condition builder, and you're not going to be able to edit the stuff. You're going to have to check the checkbox on advanced for all the existing ones yourself. It just gets messy. Okay, so run the fix script. It goes through and says, aha, all this legacy stuff is advanced. Anything going forward has the option of being either or. So that's a couple of options you can do there. Oh yes, good point, James. Turn on active as true. You don't want to be nagging people about things they closed 2 years ago. Very, very good point. And that is another reason why when I create tables, I always put active equals true. Even if I don't think I'm going to be using it, reminders of old incidents from Chad. Even if I don't think I'm going to be using it, let's take a look. Did I do it on this one just as a quick demo? Configure table. Where is it? Configure table. My packages table that I looked at a minute ago, does it have an active field on it? It sure does. So out of habit, it's one of those things that I do whenever I create a new table. If I'm not inheriting an active field, I like to put one there anyway. I may never use this thing. I may use it in a reference qualifier. I may, who knows, module definitions. It's a good habit to get into when you create a new table to put an active field there. Try to avoid deleting data. If you delete data and other things are referencing it, it has a crazy impact. In London, this is the interesting part. Watch this. I love this demo. There's a new feature called Rollback and Recovery, so I can fix this easily. But if I go to users, user administration, users, and I look for Fred Luddy. And I've got Fred Luddy's record. And for whatever reason, I say, Fred doesn't work here anymore. I'm a new system administrator. I don't know the difference. And I say, let's just delete Fred. And it comes up and says, hey, warning, Will Robinson, you're about to delete a few other records. But it goes far beyond this. Because if I do that, it's going to not just delete the notification device and the expense line. Fred is assigned to incidents. It's going to go and clear out those values. Fred may be the caller on some incidents. He may be assigned to many, many other records. I hit delete, and it goes, okay, done. There were a lot of other ramifications, shall we say, implications, references to that record. It says, yeah, I cleaned up all this stuff that I was going to tell you about. But now if I go to Rollback and Recovery, delete recovery, it says, hey, guess what? Let's take the deleted A to Z. This transaction that you just did, and I'm going to put this down too, because there's a lot of things we're not. I don't want to miss this stuff when I post the show notes later. Get rid of that. This thing that you just did, look how many other tables it hit. Yeah, it did sysapproval approver. Deleted 66 records. It updated all of these other things. It made updates on the workflow context. There was a Fred Luddy reference in 60 records of the workflow context. Oh my gosh. Or at least 60 references throughout. It's crazy how much other stuff happened here. And if you just went to the deleted records and retrieved those ones that it said it did, that's not it. There's an insert. Oh my gosh. It inserted a record. It created a record because I deleted something else. The good news is I can roll this back. All of these changes go back the way they were. This is a London feature and probably my most valuable one that I've ever had. Are you sure you want to recover this? Yes. I put that back and it will put back all of those changes just like that. So thank goodness for that. I love this. Ambrosia, have a wonderful day at work. That's probably my favorite London feature. When anyone asks, that's the one that comes to mind. Oh, how I wish that I had this when I was a customer. So again, use an active field first. That was my point. Active field first. Let's put that. Active fields first, then rollback recovery. That's our topic. All right. What else? I had something else in my show notes that I want to talk about. Oh yeah, Jim Coyne. Jim Coyne has created a couple of neat little utilities that I want to talk about. Jim is one of our active community members, been around for a while, and he created a little update. I hope he posts these to the share portal real soon because they'd be very valuable there. He says a little productivity booster when you're creating choices, and he's got question choices. This would be from the choice list. He created a UI action called Add Multiple Question Choices. And it brings up a pop-up and says, hey, what would you like those choices to be? Now, these are just entering the labels, and I believe it derives the values from those labels, is what it looks like. And a few options in there that you can do. And when you create those, you get he explains everything that happens, you get these in here. So he's putting in underscores where they belong. Underscores aren't as necessary as they used to be, but I do recommend using them still for the value. The text is here. This looks like it's for a catalog item. Yes? Okay, we'll go with that. So neat little thing. Paste in a bunch of choices, you get your choice list. And there you go. So instead of none, it says please select. Let me just see if the word catalog is in here. Yes, I've been working on a bunch of catalog items lately, and many of them have select box variables. So you can do this in catalog items. I don't know if this is available. You might want to ask them in the comments if you can do this for any type of choice list. It would be very handy. But I don't know where you would instantiate that, where you put that UI action. You can't just say put it on the incident record, because you've got state, you've got priority, you've got urgency. Where would that, maybe the dictionary entry for that? That might be a good place to put it if the type is choice kind of thing. The other one that I wanted to show you is something he posted almost immediately thereafter, or he updated and it just percolated at the top of the list. Oh, created 4 days ago, edited recently. So it's not that old. I like the way he starts this out. This one really just walks a fine line between laziness and productivity. Hey, that's how half of my projects come about. Is it laziness or is it productivity? Like the app that I showed you yesterday that manages this show. Part laziness, part productivity. I want this show to remain fun. If it turns into too much work, it's not fun. And there we go. So James gives me a hallelujah. I'm not sure exactly where due to latency and how often I'm looking at the chat. But yes, I'll agree with that whenever it was. He says, I like my table transform maps the same name as the import table, so it's easy to find and match them up. I like to give them something a little more unique, because when they're exactly the same, I get confused on which one's which when I'm just looking at a list or a name or something. So often I prefix both with the application name. So if I was looking at this community live stream application, it would be CLS colon something. For the transform map, CLS colon. For the import set, CLS colon. For whatever it happens to be. So if it's related to that, I also will put like map at the end of my maps. But this is a good idea. He's got import long test table name hard to copy. And it's called u_import long blah blah blah. He put in a UI action on the table transform map. To click that, it brings up, it runs a UI action, and it strips the table display name and puts it into the name, so that afterwards you see import long test variable name hard to copy. So you can't really copy it out of this source table name. That's a pull down list. So yeah, he's been working a lot with import sets. This was something that was driving him nuts, so he made a little UI action to do that, saved himself a lot of time, and shared it. That's the cool thing about this community, is people are doing this kind of thing all the time. I hope that this is valuable. If you find something valuable and informative in here, don't forget to click that like button. Gotta plug that once in a while. So wanted to show those to you. There was something else I wanted to talk about in here, and I don't remember what it was. We've got about 10 minutes or so. Oh, follow. Quick tip here. This came up last week while we were in, I don't need to save that. Well, I was in San Diego, and allows you to, I don't know that many people are using this, seems to be an underutilized feature, is the connect notification stuff that happens. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I go to the incident list, let's pick an open incident, and I look at incident number 2. There is this very little utilized follow button. In fact, some people like to hide it. And I can follow this. I am now subscribed to changes on this form. Let me bring open an incognito window and go to my developer instance, log in as somebody else. The only other somebody else I know is the administrator. So I've got one window logged in as Chuck Tomasi. I've got another window logged in as system admin. System admin is going to go to the incidents as well. If you could spell, sysadmin is not as good of a typer as I am. Let's look at latency. Gotta love it. Let's look at incident number 2, and immediately I should see, scoot that over. There's Chuck, also in this record. Should be a green dot on there saying I'm logged in somewhere. And if I say change the contact type to self-service, there's the green dot, and save it, you might hear it, you might not. But not only does the contact type show that this is changed, I thought I got a little, it's not on here, my font is, my style is absolute garbage right now. Let's change that to a better theme. And we'll go there. What I see is this little 1, and it actually made a sound. I don't know if you heard it or not, but I've got this in my Connect chat, my Connect activity reminder here. My font is really large, so this is getting a little squishy on the screen, but I've got an update here, and I can add a work note or I can add a comment. Thanks, admin, I forgot about that. And that, of course, goes right into over here in this activity. Now, admin is not following that, but they are in there live right now. If he'd been following, so the idea is, and Andrew Barnes, wow. Andrew Barnes said, you know what I want to make? And we were thinking about doing this on last week's live coding happy hour, but it's coming up soon, is a way for you to auto follow any incidents where you're assigned to them. As soon as you're not assigned, it will unfollow. So I guess it'd be a business rule that watches the assigned to field and then goes into your preferences or whatever it is, that it's just understanding what the table structure is. Say, when I am assigned to this, I am going to auto follow. Then when you log in, think about it. When you log in, you're going to simply be able to glance up here and say, hey, there's been updates made to things that I'm assigned to. I don't have to go and look in the list. I don't have to worry about my emails. Did I check my email? Is it coming in? I can just look in here and go, now I've got a nice little work list. Similar to, as I understand, Agent Workspace has functionality like this, but I haven't dug in too far to understand what that is. Does the follow only use Connect, or are notifications sent out as well? Good question. I have notifications turned on, but I didn't see any indication, the pop-up on the side. Then again, I was on the other screen. So it doesn't look like notifications are popped up there. So the real trick to making this all happen for Andrew's idea is understanding where the follows are tracked. And that should be pretty easy to figure out. And we'll build that out and share that with you. So look for an upcoming live coding happy hour that shares that information. Let's see. When V says, when we are not on record, then the sound comes in. Oh, okay. Good point. Because that's what I noticed as well. I was doing the demo last week, and I heard this tone. I went, what was that? That's not one of my standard Slack or email or one of my other system tones. It was actually ServiceNow saying, hey, you follow this. I accidentally tripped across this because I was logged in as administrator, and administrator was following somewhere in the demo data. I don't even know which record it was, but I happened to hit this situation, and I went, I forgot all about that. So that's kind of cool. Not only do you get the automatic update with the little heartbeat icon to say somebody else changed this field, and if you cursor over that, it'll say system administrator modified this value. So you get the live updates, but you also get that icon up here that says you have 3 or 5 or 7 things you're following. And then of course Andrew's update would help keep that up to date to say, oh, I'm assigned to these issues. Maybe we could extend it on beyond just assigned on a table. You could say, for this table, watch this field and update the person's following. The follow shows up on this, so I'm curious as to, is this only tasks? Let's go to problem.list. I'm on exploration mode now. There's a follow there, and I also started creating another table that extended task. Do you get follow automatically for that? Yes, you do. But my CLS item table, can you follow any record, is my question, or is it only tasks? Looks like it's only tasks at this point. So what makes that happen? I don't know if this is going to be answerable in this show. Follow feeds. You can view users who are following you, and no, follow a risk, follow control, follow others, follow community leader, manage follow on tasks, follow a record in Connect. Okay. Before you begin, whichever role is required to access the record, this is just using the follow. Navigate to a task record. Seems to be specific to task, like VTB is tasks only. I want to know, can you turn this on for other records? Edit basic conversation. I suspect it's going to be over here. Add or remove conversation members. Create a connect conversation from VTB. Connect chat administration. Edit your notification settings. You can do that. It's related to live feed. Oh, you know what? I'll bet if I go to configure table and pick the right app here so I can actually edit that. Watch. Under controls, live feed. So while I'm not talking about live feed like the Facebook wall kind of live feed, that should give me, yes, no, maybe, should, nothing. Template bar, it's not there. Let's go back to configure table. Did I jump the gun a little bit? Let's go back to the docs. Related concepts, live feed. Live feed is a social IT application. Users can post, administrators. That's what I was talking about there. But activating live feed, I thought it was also connected into the follow feature. So let's go back to follow a record in Connect. Is it only task records? Navigate to a task record. Follow the record, open in chat mini window, follow the following. Note, if you add an attachment to the record conversation, it's attached to the underlying record as well. Edit basic conversation. I don't see it. If anybody knows, check the note on the docs article. Check the note. Edit your notification sections. Is there a note in here that I missed? By default, record conversations are enabled for all tables that extend task. Administrators can enable record conversations for additional tables or disable them if desired. Can enable record conversation for additional. Where? That's not very descriptive. I want to know where. That's not details. Extensible, ITM prefix, number of digits, create access controls. I'm not seeing. Maybe it's an attribute. Let's go to the table dictionary. When in doubt, take a look at the dictionary. Let's take a look at the dictionary entry for task. Equals task. The collection is the type for a table. We're out here in Discovery Land trying to figure this out. Attributes is has listeners, reference index, extension model, all table detail row. I'm not seeing anything that smells like a follow, a connect, a collaboration, anything in here. Interesting. Let's look at the advanced view. Maybe there's something in there. These two should be in sync. I should see 5 different attributes in here. Reference index include active all. All tables live feed true. All tables text index. Reference index include. That's comma, that's a dot. Tables.livefeed equals true. All tables.livefeed equals true. All tables.text index translations. I've never seen this all underscore tables thing here before. Is that related to all tables detail row? Interesting. Never saw this before. Yeah. You can't edit this. You're not in the global app. I don't want to edit it. I'm studying. Has listeners, large table, extension model, all tables display color. All right. Let me look at this in the value. Interesting. You are editing a record. Why doesn't it show me that? Because it's in advanced view. Let's go back to default view. No, thank you. View, default view. Interesting. The view carried over, but it did something crazy here. So how do we try refreshing the browser? I thought I did that. Let's go back to me. I refreshed the form. I could try refreshing the browser. Let's go to CLS. My goal is I want the follow on this record. I'll try refreshing the browser, sure. No follow yet. I want my follow. Let's go to Configure Dictionary. Pull up the table. I don't think there's an attribute in here. Live feed is true. That's what I would expect. Is there anything about collaboration? Is there anything about chat? No. Anything about live? This thing's not working. Crazy attributes. Okay, search for connect. Nothing. Let's search for something we know. Search for live. No. What kind of crazy list is this? Oh, it's the kind of crazy list that I'm not allowed to see all the attributes. Has labels, has filters. Interesting. So, how do I get the live feed? How do I get to follow my own table? That's the question I'm going to try and figure out today. And takes us to the top of the hour. I appreciate you sticking around. Thank you very much for watching live. If you're new to the show, continue to stay subscribed, get the notification when things come up, and don't forget to check the little thumbs up button if you found something helpful in the past hour or so. Until tomorrow, which will be my last episode for a couple of weeks while I'm off doing Now Forum, Now Summit, developer meetups, that kind of thing around the world. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Have a wonderful day.